Welcome to the December meeting of Professional Speakers Australia, South Australia. My name's Warwick Merry and I am the National President of PSA. As part of my national tour, I was supposed to drop into Adelaide and present to the South Australian chapter. My flight from Perth was cancelled. So I had to get on a flight back to Melbourne, dash into the Home Office, and we've set up a Zoom call for that meeting. Now, the session was all about how do we set ourselves up for success for 2018, as well as how do we create powerful products that people will purchase. During the course of the session, I said I could turn this into a product. So that's what we've done. We've put a very pleasant little intro, underlying music. There'll also be an outro as part of it. If you want to find out how to create that kind of product for yourself, stay tuned to see how simple it is. Let's go now and join the session live here in South Australia. Hey, thanks everyone for your understanding and tolerance. Courtesy of Virgin Airlines, I have no flight to Adelaide, or I was going to get there at about 9 o'clock tonight. So I'm just going to keep talking and assuming everything is okay. If it's not, let me know.
Everything is good, Warwick.
Green for that. I could hear this chuckling and I'm like, yeah, I wonder what's going on there. So, all right. Please give me the 5 or 10 minute wrap up kind of time when you want me to wrap up, because originally I was going to do 90 minutes worth. So I've got a lot and I love the sound of my own voice and I can talk endlessly. And as you know, I was speaking in Perth yesterday. Some of it will be similar. Some of it is different. Running the session on Zoom is different face to face. So as I was speaking with Gary and Liana, what I'm going to try and do is come over in January at some stage, probably the latter half of January, and maybe just come and do a half-day sort of strategy session to help kick off the year to make up for the fact that I'm not there today. So we'll see how that goes. Today, what I wanted to cover is part of it is one of my philosophies around how to make success simple, but also wanted to talk a lot about product because I love product, and product gives huge leverage. And helps you get away from dollar for time. So that's what I want to talk about today. I don't know. I mean, I have the facility to receive chat, and I'm seeing a message saying it's all good at your end. So you can chat in the actual question box on the Zoom. So if there's someone who's at the computer or near the computer, if questions come up, pop them in the chat box because I'll see them as we go and make things happen from that end. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen to bring up the PowerPoint slide, which is going to be interesting, and we'll see how that goes. Let's start the slidey showy. Oh, my lorks, lordy. Let's just press play. Let's do that. Awesome. Again, please let me know if something's gone wrong with the Zoom. I'm assuming that you're seeing what you should, and you're seeing the data show there.
Yep.
Hey, that's going to make it easier. And by the way, I'm recording this as well, so I'll put it in the vault. All right, I'm assuming that was a good thing. So it's going to be in the vault, so therefore you can access this again later. All right, so let's go to the first part of the model, and that's selection. My whole thing for 2018 is, the first thing you got to do is understand what is success. How will you know whether it's been successful? How will you know whether 2018 is going to be great for you if you don't know what your defining success is? So therefore, it's what's your theme or your goals for the year? I know for my wife and I used to do goal setting, and we still do quite a bit of goal setting, but my wife and I, we do themes. So this year, the theme, the couple of years ago, the theme was the year of the holiday. And my wife I think she had 12 weeks holidays. She's a nurse and works pretty hard. And so therefore she needed holidays. Most of those holidays were without me, I may well say. This year, the theme was ZAP, Zombie Apocalypse Preparation. Now, that's because we have a rural retreat with a big shed on it that we're converting into a weekender. So that was our code for getting the weekender up and running. Unfortunately, I did break my leg earlier in the year, so we're not as far along as what we wanted to be. And we haven't worked out what our theme is for 2018. Themes are good to hang on to. Like, it's just easier to hang on to something. So whether the theme is business related or life related, or whether it's, I know for me, one of the big focuses really is going to be my marketing, because my marketing is nowhere near as good as it needs to be. And I'm actually I'm just shifting my brand a little bit. Currently, my website will talk about my emceeing, my speaking, my trade show stuff. That will all change, and it will only mention my emceeing and hosting and facilitating. That is the only thing that I will market, is the only thing I'll go to market with. Now, when I'm having conversations with them, I will offer them keynotes and let them know what I can do, but I'm really going to niche down into that. And that's one of the underlying themes for me, is to really just embrace that. And it's scary as hell, I've got to be honest, because it's a hard sell. It's the last thing that's sold. It's the last thing that comes out of the budget. But if I do it well, and typically I do, they'll say, oh, that was fabulous, come back again next year. And I have, actually when I was in Perth, I caught up with a client and they committed to next year again. And, it always amazes me that they're flying me over to Perth to host this one-day conference, and paying airfare and stuff when they could have got someone locally. But because I now know their brand, I know their themes, I know their messages, it's what they're after. So for you, it is looking at, what are you selecting for the year? What's your goals? What's it going to be? Is it getting to member? Is that the thing? And then breaking that down into, well, that's 50 grand. And if I'm charging, say, 2.5 grand a presentation, that means I've got to do 20 presentations. So that means if there's 10 months of working, that's 2 presentations a month. And if that means that for each presentation, I have to have 3 meetings to get it. So that means I need 6 meetings a month. And if each meeting takes me 5 phone calls to get, that means there's 30, I've lost the maths. Hang on. It's about 20 phone calls a month. So that means I've got to do 4 phone calls a day. Like, it's really having that goal and breaking it down. And this is what I know Ian Stevens spoke to you. So it is breaking it down into that. What's the simple little thing I can do today that's going to lead to my goals? So it really is looking at, what is it? How will I define success? What do I need to achieve so that at the Christmas next year, or this time next year, I can look back on the year and go, yes, this has been a really good year for me. This has been, quote, successful. And so having a look at what that is. So for yourselves, it really begs the question of, what are you selecting? What are you defining it? Now, you could say, oh, well, I want more money, but that's not specific enough. If it's like, I want to go on a holiday, it's like, yeah, okay, but where? You got to taste it. And I'm pretty confident that there's some NLP gurus in the room and people who do meditation. So you understand the concept of, you've got to be specific, and the specificity will help you. And I just love using that word, specificity. The specificity will really help you taste it and want to get in touch with it. So it's really important to make sure that you are being quite specific about how you'll define success, in terms of, is there an income level that you're after? Is there a number of presentations? Is there a size of audience? Is there a number of mentoring clients? Is there a number of workshops? Is there a number of public workshops? Is there a book that you want to do by a certain time? Is that, what is it? And then break them down using Ian's methodology in his spreadsheet. I'm pretty confident that he gave you a copy of his spreadsheet. If not, he did something for us. I did for the getting to member session. So it is on the vault, and that spreadsheet's there that you're welcome to download and use. So, really, really get into that, because it's interesting. Most people spend more time planning a holiday than they will planning their life, or planning their business, or planning the year ahead. And so I like to use now as a great time to just sit back and reflect on the year and go, what's been really cool for the year, and coming up, what are some of the key things that I need to be doing? So the first step really is understanding, what is success for me, and how will I know that I've achieved it? So I'm hoping that makes sense. Again, please shoot me questions as they come up for you, and I'm quite happy to answer them, or have someone just mention it talking next to the computer. So so give me a big woohoo if you understand it and it's all making sense. All right. We're loving it. The woohoo girls are in town. Okay, so back to the model. The first step was the selection. The next step is to look at this central piece, this grey cog in the middle. I call this my inspiration engine. And so the first step is you want to look for inspiration. You've got to have something that gets you excited and gets you, good to go and want to make things happen. Now, inspiration is external. So you've got it and we're going to talk about motivation next. Motivation is internal, but inspiration is external. And you need both, but you've got to look at, and it's really cool to look at the achievement of others. So do you want to go on a family holiday? Do you want to have a family? Do you want just an inflatable seal like this kid's got? Because it looks pretty cool, and I wouldn't mind one myself. Maybe nature is inspiring for you. Maybe you want to go and spend time with nature and just reconnect. Maybe you like the idea of owning your own house before you die. Maybe you want to have a couple of houses. Maybe it's, I know some people use vision boards. Vision boards are great inspiration. Hearing stories of other people's success is great. I look at what some of the other speakers are doing because, being speakers, we're not shy about telling everybody how good we are and the stuff that we do. And I see pictures like I saw some pictures from the American conference where they've got about 2,000 people in this huge stage with the big screens. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I want a huge screen. I want to do a gig. And I saw Jason Fox did a gig with a massive screen. I'm like, oh, I want a big screen. Didn't care how big the audience was. I just wanted a big screen. And I've recently done the Professional Conference Organizers Conference, and they had this enormous screen. Like, it was just huge. And I was thrilled what I actually did is I paid for a photographer to come along, and he's just sent me the photos, which are pretty cool. To come along and get some photos of me there. And I got a clearance with the organizer to have my photographer, because typically the organizer's photographer are really focused on the speakers and the delegates, and not me, which I find outrageous because I'm so important. And so I thought, one of my things for next year, as I said, is my marketing. So I'm actually going to pay money, which is just, so against the grain for me. Pay money to professionals to help me market better, and part of that is having some branding and some imagery. So that's what I do with that one. So for yourself, you've got to look at how do I get this external inspiration, but you really need to be careful in that you got to try not to compare and compete. And this is one of the reasons that Facebook kills me. Because, you know what we speakers are like. We take photos of ourselves on the plane and sometimes on Facebook. I don't know if this happens to you. Facebook doesn't quite reflect real life. Has it ever happened to anyone in the room there where, you'll see speakers, and I've seen speakers do this. They go, oh, here I am in the lounge, but they've actually just checked in the lounge on their phone. They actually aren't in the lounge because you can check in on the lounge. Or they'll go, here am I doing this amazing gig, and they'll be like, but it's a gig they're not getting paid for. So I'm looking at all this stuff happening on Facebook going, look what they're doing. I'm a better speaker than them. How come they're getting all these gigs? And all of a sudden I'm just beating myself up over nothing. So I have to be really careful with Facebook, because I compare my insides to someone else's outsides, and you will never win that comparison. So with your inspiration and with your looking for external ideas of things that you'd like to achieve, make sure you don't beat yourself up in the process. But you've just really got to look at what is it that inspires you. Now, one of the things, I'm going to talk about products in a sec, but I've written the book on inspiration. At this stage, this is when I'd give everybody in the room a copy of the book, but I'm not there, so I can't. But I will be there in January. So in January, if you come to the workshop, I will give you a copy of my book. So it'll be a delayed Christmas present, but it's inspirational, and it's been specifically designed not to be read. So this is where you go, oh, because we didn't get a book, and then go, yay, because you'll get one in January. So give us the and then give me a yay. Hey, fantastic. All right, so that'll be coming in January when I'm there. So, but for yourself, you've got to look at what is it that inspires me, and what is it that I've got around me that inspires you on a daily basis. I know for me is my puppy dog, who I take for walks and have a bit of fun with. He's a really good energizer for me, and I know that, and so I use that. So that's inspiration. We now want to look at the next step. We're going back to our inspiration engine and looking at motivation. Now, as we said, motivation's internal. And motivation is a very small piece. Inspiration's quite large because you can do your vision boards, and you can look on Pinterest and have these Pinterest boards. You can talk to other speakers and trainers and consultants and business people and get inspired by them, and that kind of stuff. But motivation is that internal thing, and it sort of happens in an instant. Let me give you an example. I don't know about you. I'm assuming that most of you in the room have seen me or seen pictures of me. I have a health condition, and my condition is that I'm a nutritional overachiever. Thank you for laughing, the one person that did. I appreciate that. So as a nutritional overachiever for many, many years, I've had to fight myself to exercise. And there's many a time when I'm like, right, this is it. Today's the day. I am going to get up early. I am going to go and walk. I may even walk swiftly. I am going to do all this exercise and I will lose weight. And then the morning comes. And then the excuses quickly come. It's too wet. It's too hot. It's too dry. It's too cold. I've got a bone in my leg. I've got, the oxygen's not quite right, so, and it's just, there's always a reason. But and this is where it can be good to systemize your motivation. So this is where you say to a friend, hey, I will meet you on the corner at 6 a.m. And you both get down there looking quite disheveled and giving each other a grumpy look and point the finger and go, it's because of you that I'm here. And then you go for your walk, and at the end you say, that was fantastic. See you again tomorrow at 6. It's that having that commitment. Half the reason I bought a dog was because I wouldn't go for a walk for myself, but I would take my dog for a walk. So it is about having that kind of system. A diary is an amazing system. It is a great system to be able to go, right, this is the stuff I need to get done, and it's there and I've got to do it, versus just looking at email, which you can just, fart around with. The other thing that can be great motivation is an accountability call. Maybe you've set up a mastermind group, and if you haven't, I'd encourage it. I've got one called Warwick's Angels, and we would, on a Monday morning, we'd all sort of have a conversation of, what did we have planned for this week and what did we achieve last week? And just knowing that was coming, it was the whole, oh shit, I better do something because they're going to have a talk to me. And if I haven't done anything, I'll be so embarrassed. So it really is about, even though motivation's internal and you've got to make that decision, and that motivation is that decision. It's that split decision of, yes, I'm getting out of bed now. Yes, I'm going to make those phone calls. Because this is what happened. We go, right, I'm going to make phone calls. I've heard another speaker say that they make 10 phone calls every week. I am going to do 10 phone calls every week. And the first week you do 10. And the second week you do 9. The week after you might do 7. And then you're like, well, I did some in the first week. I'm down to 5. Oh, I better do some research on Facebook. And all of a sudden you stop calling. So it is about having that process to just keep doing and making the decision and taking the action to back up the decision. The decision's easy. It's instantaneous. The motivation is help making that happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. Thank you for the person who said yes. I appreciate that. And what happens next is, after you've had the inspiration and the motivation, you then got to do something. It's all about the action. It's like, and you'll have multiple actions that you can take, but it's one step at a time. And this is the thing, as a speaker, sometimes we want to do that whole, oh, I want to be famous and I want to make bazillions of dollars overnight. And I don't know about you, but it's taken me 20 years to be an overnight success. And even that, there are some, I've lost my overnight success status. And it is just that one step at a time, continuing to do it. It's that one piece of the puzzle, and finally it's all sort of connecting together. Hope is not a business plan. Hope is not a strategy that's going to get you return. You can't hope your way to success. You've got to do something. You want to win Tatslotto, you've got to buy the ticket. Right now, and you're all probably sitting there nodding your head going, yeah, of course. Like, this is really obvious. And it is really obvious, and yet we don't do it. Like, if you get nothing else out of this session, I am hoping the one thing that you'll get is pick up the phone and call people and make appointments to see them. Don't be sending them emails. Don't be farting around going, oh, well, I'll create a social media program and just put posters out there. And like, it's nice, but one of the most effective things that I have found is phone calls, having a script, and the intent of the phone call is not to sell, but to get a meeting. And at that meeting, create a relationship and sell. So you've got to have your plan and put stuff into action. That's what this is the important bit. Inspiration's awesome. Motivation's delightful, so you actually want to do something, but it's the action that actually counts. Action is the magic word, not words are the magic action. And then that brings us back to these three, the inspiration engine again, and this just continues. You have some inspiration, motivation put into action. Inspiration, motivation put into action. Inspiration, motivation. It just continues. Excuse me. All right. And so I love the quote from Zig Ziglar, where he says, people say that motivation doesn't last, and neither does bathing. And that's why you have to do it daily. And, you know, quotes are lovely, and I like quotes, and I like some nice pictures, and I like some of the stuff that's out there. But it's like, it's understanding what is it that's going to do it for you, and everyone's different. I use music a lot. You know, I'll use some fire up music, and I'll use some relaxing music to sort of shift moods, etc. Sometimes I need a physical change. I find I could be really productive when I just take my computer. I work from home. Take my computer, go to the local cafe, which I refer to as my executive suite, and head down there and do some writing there, or do, you know, like, I'm more productive. I'm less likely to get sidetracked. So it is about understanding what's going to work for you and repeating that inspiration, motivation, and action, because that's at the very core of success. That inspiration engine is what's really going to pay off for you. So that's the key element. And then the next step is to let's have a celebration. I'm a huge fan of the concept of, if you can make celebrating success a habit, you'll make success a habit. And so it's really interesting. People will say to me, oh, but I don't know how to celebrate success, because we're so used to, you know, do I just buy something, and what do I celebrate? You know, you don't need to get too outrageous. I've put a list together, and you're probably thinking to yourself, I can't read that. So you don't need to. I've got it. I've got this as a download for you. And it's bit.ly/celebrate success with uppercase C and S. And I can't remember the exact thing. So here's what I'm going to do. I will put this in the Facebook group tomorrow. No, after this session, I'll put the link in the Facebook group. So if you're not on the Facebook group, get Gary or Liana to add you and approve you and have you in there. And what I'll do is I'll put this list there so you can access it. And what I like about this is some are big things, you know, like get your hair colored, which for me that's actually not a big thing. But it could be, you know, organize a chef to have an in-house dinner party. Could be have other people refer to you as Your Majesty for a day. It could be take a week off and stay at a health retreat. Some of them are big and expensive. Some of them are free. And what you want to do is look at what's my to-do list, and here's my celebrate success list, and match them up. Because it becomes that if you're making celebrating success a habit, success becomes a habit. And it's really nice to do some of these things. I know when I became a CSP, I wanted to really acknowledge that, because I've got to tell you, it's bloody hard. And there was a lot of work to be done over many years to reach that level. But I wanted to celebrate it in a way that I would be continually reminded of it, so I would acknowledge how hard I had worked. So once I received my CSP, I bought myself some Bose noise-cancelling headphones. So every time I fly, I use these headphones, and I'm reminded that I got these when I was a CSP, and now I use them in my work. Now, they were multiple $100s. I really didn't need them, and I'm sure I would have had other things to spend the money on. But it's a great method for me to really recognize how hard I've worked and what a great achievement that it is. You know, there's only 100 CSPs in Australia, so you know, I think it was a really important thing for me to acknowledge. Now, what I've since found with those is they've got a really good microphone on them. And so when I plug them into my phone, I can actually talk using my noise-cancelling headphones. And so that's really cool that I can just put them on, and when I'm at my desk or when I'm walking around the house or doing something, I can have a really good conversation with really good microphone and really good pickup. They're fantastic, and I'm really grateful for it. But there's some simple stuff there, like just taking the day off to celebrate. One of the one is, let me have a look. I saw it yesterday, and that is encourage your partner to make you a candlelit dinner. Now, if you don't have a partner, use somebody else's. But it really is, people will say to me, oh, my partner never does that. So you've got to tell them. I mean, subtlety doesn't work. I've said to both my wives that I'm not subtle. By the way, with both my wives, they were one at a time, not two at a time. That's naughty. I'm hoping people are laughing or at least smiling at my jokes. But we'll see how we go. There's no guarantee. But it is, basically saying to them, I've done an amazing thing and I really need you to make me a candlelit dinner. And, spoil me and, refer to me as your majesty or something. And they might give you a weird look, but if you don't tell them exactly what you want, how will they know to do it? Because as I said to my wives, I don't do subtle. I don't do hints. I don't do suggestions. I don't do, if you really loved me, then you'd ... because quite honestly, that's bullshit. If you want something, you got to ask for it. I am male. I'll probably forget and not do it, but you got to ask for it. So for yourself, it's the same. Say to your partner, look, I've achieved something and I'd like to celebrate and you can help me celebrate by ... And it may well be simple as come with me as we test drive a new car, or come with me as we may never buy it, but we just want to have a bit of fun with it. It's really important. So this is a shopping list. This is just stuff that I've put together. You can add to it because your taste will be different to mine. And there'll be something that you'll want to do. All right, moving on. So we've done the selection, we've done inspiration, motivation, put into action. Let's have a celebration, and then finally we have evolution, and that is where we start again. And what you'll find is you'll have one of these models for different areas of your life. So you might have one for your work, you might have one for your family, you might have one for your community. There might be something to do with your kids' soccer club or something, whatever it is. There'll be multiple ones of these strategies going on within your life, and that's okay. And they will continue to evolve, because what you might find that you thought was going to be what you wanted when the selection process over time has shifted, and you're like, I actually don't want that anymore. And I know for me, the older I get, the less I want a huge business with lots of people and, take over the world. I'm like, I don't want that. My business is a lifestyle vehicle, and that's what I want. I want to be able to just enjoy what I do and spend a lot of time with my wife and my dog, and have some great clients. And I don't want to make truckloads of money, just a truckload, not necessarily truckloads. So, and that comes back to, what's your strategy? It's all important about having, what is the strategy of what you're trying to achieve. And as your compass moves, your strategies change, your goals will shift. So you have to evolve with that. So as I said, it's simple but not easy. And so the underlying principle behind this this inspiration engine to help you achieve is, the acronym SIMPLE. So it's about the selection, the inspiration, the motivation, put into action. Let's have a celebration and have some evolution. So I've just covered, one of my hour and a half sessions in about half an hour there. So before I get on and talk a lot about products, I'd love any questions you might have about anything I've talked about, anything that's come up for you, anything you want to add. So that's nothing then. No questions at all. No, not even where did you get that from? How long have you been doing this for? Oh, my goodness. Apparently you said it was really good. Fantastic. And even if you didn't, who does my graphics? I have someone from Upwork did those graphics for me. I roughed it out. I knew this is what I wanted because I knew it was the inspiration engine that drove it. And they did the graphics for me. And then I cut and paste it and put it in.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Let's talk products. If you're happy with that, I'm happy to go into products. Are you happy?
Yes.
Everyone's happy. It's good. Fabulous. All right. Bear with me. Products. Grooving. All right. Here we go. All right. So I'm interested. What products have you got? These are just other PSA members' products and books and stuff that are out there. So from the people in the room, tell me, what have you got? Who's got books? Anyone got a book?
Yep. Yes.
Okay. Self-published book?
Free books.
Anyone got CDs? Online courses?
Yep. See,
What else? What else have people got as a product?
dead silence.
Excellent. You know, they're just stunned into amazement. All right. So here is some of the different things that are out there. Like it's not rocket science. You will have seen them. There's the books and ebooks and CDs, DVDs, MP3s, MP4s, webinars, membership sites, newsletters, e-courses, podcasts, vodcasts, newsletters, more and more stuff happening all the time. Technology is great in that it's making this stuff easier and easier and easier. And I'll talk about some of the stuff coming up about how easy it is to make your own product. My thing is you can make product from stuff you're already doing. My underlying theme in my business is that I'm lazy. And I try and leverage what I'm doing and use it multiple times. And I'll show you exactly how I did that. Now, a lot of people will say to me, but when it comes to products, they're hard. They take a whole lot of time. I don't really know what I'm doing. What if it's not any good? There are already so many stuff. You know, you put an excuse in there. There can be anything that people come up with. Other people say they're from training backgrounds. How do I know how to leverage and sell stuff? What's the right price? And it's like, you know, shut up. Stop bitching about yourself. And, you know, you've got great knowledge. You've got great stuff. Let's get it out there. So a couple of questions before we get too carried away. People talk about, you know, what's the one that gives the best credibility? And it's always the book. The book gives huge credibility. It's got to be a good book, though. But it's, you know, it's great to be able to say, I've written the book on. Now, I knew that I wanted to say, I've written the book on inspiration. So consequently, I had to make sure that the title of my book had something to do with inspiration. So my book is Get More Inspiration. And the reason for it is, A, it's an inspirational book. And B, I wanted to be able to say, I've written a book on inspiration. So for you, it's about the strategy. I can't emphasize enough. When it comes to product, it's not just churning out product. It's what's the strategy? For what purpose am I doing this? Where does it fit within my business model? So I'm happy to just share you my product journey. I'm going to stop sharing the screen because you're probably sick of the looking at my PowerPoint, because you can look at me for a little while. Hello, everybody. Let me share with you some of my products. One of the earliest things I did was this one. This is, and I'm just assuming you can see this okay, but this is, in fact, if I do, yeah, here we go. I can see it. All right. This is my Get More Choice CD. It's hang on. So it's a CD that's in a DVD pack. But wait, you say, why is that CD in a DVD pack? It looks more expensive. That is the only, whereas some of the other CDs that I do, just a simple CD, it's a bit glary. Simple CD in a white paper slip, but that one looks quite expensive. And people were used to buying DVDs and paying $30 for a DVD. So I could say this is worth $30 and they go, yeah, I've paid $30 for a DVD. So that's the reason that I packaged it in that. This one is just a simple CD. By the way, the cost to make this, $2. Cost to make this, $3. Very, very simple to do. Oh, and by the way, this one was a recording of a presentation I was doing. So essentially, my first products were just reusing stuff I was already doing. My initial way of recording it was I had a digital recorder. Nowadays, you can use the telephone, stick it on your inside pocket, have a little lapel mic that plugs into it, do your presentation. Then if only you knew people who could do good voiceovers, you know, like speakers, and so they could stay at the front of your presentation. Hey, you're about to listen to Gary Edwards talking to you about how you can solve the problems of the world. He's been presenting on this for quite some time, blah, 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 blah. Let's go and now join one of his presentations live. And the reason you say live is that way you don't have to edit the audio at all, and any ums and drops and cups of tea spilling doesn't matter because it's live and they know it's live. And then at the end, you say, that was Gary Edwards sharing the word on da-da-da-da-da. For further information from Gary and have him speak at your conference, go to garyedwards.com.au. Gary's a legend. You know, and it's that simple. If you own a Mac, you have GarageBand, you already have the software to edit that sound. You will also have iMovie or movie, whatever the movie one's called, and that has some royalty-free music, so you can have underlying music going da 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 da. Hey, welcome along. So you've already got the stuff. If for some reason you're a non-Mac person, you use PC, there's a software program called Audacity, and I'll talk about that later. So I first did that one, and then I did another one in the series, which so that's Get More from Choice. This was Get More from Change. 2 CDs. Ooh. And that's because it was a 90-minute presentation that I sort of split in half. And you'll notice that because I was economizing, it's the same design on the cover, but it's just slightly different color. And that's just for consistency of brand. And then I thought, you know what would be a cool idea? To reuse them for another product, the Get More Power Pack, which has exactly the same CDs, plus a couple of others that I had done that I sell as individuals. Plus, I did a podcast many, many years ago, but it was only like 5 to 10 minutes. And so I put them all on a CD, you know, so they all have the audio quality is not good, but the content's good. And then, you know, it's a 2, 4, 6, 8 CD pack that I sell for a couple $100. And, you know, it has sold well and made some good money for me. So that was the first sort of step into my product journey. Then I created an e-course. I created an e-course that I had. I just wanted something, and it's really simple. It's an email autoresponder. So I get their email address, they pay me money, and they have 12 emails that get them for every week for 12 weeks. They get an email which has a bit of blurb and an action plan and an attachment that makes them do things. Then I thought, I saw other people had some products that had big product packs, big 12 product packs, 12 disc product packs. And I thought, I want that. And so what I did was I created one. So this one is interviewing all my PSA buddies. That's right. I was using other people's intellectual property to make money for me. It's fantastic because I thought, and this one's called Get More Business Success. Get More and purple are my brand, and so it's on everything. And so I thought, you know, I know some really cool people at PSA who have got some really strong knowledge. And if someone's starting a business, they're going to want to know some of this stuff. So it's 12 CDs. The first CD is me talking about how to use the pack and how to sort of, you know, get inspired. And the final CD is me about staying motivated and how to keep on track to achieve things. And then I've got some people who are talking about financial management, human resource, image consultant, innovation, using technology for marketing, networking, public relations, $1 million relationships, customer service. Trav Bell talking about bucket lists for business. And the deal was, because people have asked me saying, oh, do you have to pay them? No. The deal was I interviewed them. I did all the mastering, all the audio and all the introductions, etc. I would give them a copy of the master CD and they can do with it whatever they want. They could create their own individual product. They could give it away. They could do whatever. And then I could use it, and whatever money I got for selling it was mine. And everyone was happy with that. We didn't sign any agreements. It was a PSA-friendly handshake, away you go. And then one of them said to me, oh, by the way, can we buy these at wholesale? Because I said to them, I will be selling these on my website for $600. And I said to them, yeah, you can buy it wholesale. And so I had a few of them buy some wholesale, and these cost me about $25. And my wholesale to manufacture, my wholesale price was $50. And so what it meant is before I'd even pressed print or pressed produce, I had been paid the money to pay for my whole production run, the first production run, and the whole, you know, the design and all that kind of stuff for the other people that I did it with. And I've sold a couple of the website for $600. Majority of these I sell when I'm selling from stage, and I'll sell them for usually $600. Today, only $300, or I'll build a bundle. It's been really cool because I can throw this in if I'm dealing with someone, and to get a deal over the line, I can say to the organizer, look, I'm happy to give you a copy of this and they love it. So that's another product I did. I did a joint venture product with Danielle Story. I do quite a little bit about trade shows and exhibiting. And so we created this one. This is a 12 CD pack also. This one looks bigger, but it's a pain in the ass to send to people. And we created this product and sold a lot of it before we created it. So it sort of paid for itself. But after we had it created, I actually haven't sold that many of it. So I need to do something different with that one. And then I wrote a book. I had a chapter in a book. You know, the Dale Beaumont's Secrets of blah, blah, blah exposed, and you get 10 or 15 authors who all pay some money to write a chapter and get a book. Well, one of my business contacts wanted to do something like that, and I gave them some different ideas, and we wrote this book, and I won't do that again. It didn't work out well for me. And then finally I wrote this book, of which in January you'll get a copy, Get More Inspiration. And I'll tell you the whole story about how I wrote that book in a sec, but I'm really proud of my product. My product is really good. I went back and had a listen to some of the old CDs thinking they were very early on. They're going to be a bit dodgy, and they were really good. Like, the content was really, really good. So I stand by my product. When I sell my product, I give a 200% money back guarantee. And that is that if people buy it and it doesn't meet their expectations, I'll give their money back. That's the first 100%. And then I'll let them keep the product. That's the second 100%. It's like I stand behind it because it takes away any risk. So that's been my product journey. But as I said, the most important thing is the strategy. You got to have the strategy right. You got to understand, what am I doing this for? So a lot of speakers will write a book for the credibility. I wanted to say I've written a book on inspiration. And that was the reason I did that. The CDs were because I wanted to sell product from stage. I was doing less emceeing back there and more speaking. And I was having the opportunity to speak for free, as you do, because it's good exposure. And those exposure bucks are so handy, aren't they? And so it gave me a way to be able to do that. And even if I was getting paid for a gig, people would come up to me and say, that was really great. Have you got any other? And here's some stuff that I can sell. So that's the reason that I did it. So for you, the question is going to be, what can you sell? Like, what does your target market want? I think Kate is in the audience, and she's funny. She's a very funny woman. And so what her audience may want is laughter, but they also may want to know, how can I be funny? So, and Marty Wilson, I know, has written, has done a whole lot of stuff on how to, more funny, more money. But, that doesn't mean that you can't have your own thing about, how to get a laugh during a presentation or something like that. I'm not sure who else is in the room. Liana is a mindfulness guru. So she could quite easily have, things on how to achieve mindfulness, or how to enjoy a state of mindfulness. Now, very simple. And those, I don't want to use the word coloring books because that would be disrespectful, but coloring books, when the mindfulness started being talked about a lot, there was a heap of these adult coloring books out there that are sold like wildfire. From my friends who practice mindfulness, they're not too happy about it because they're just coloring books. They're not actually, there is some processes to it. So to have something that had the theory and the practice would be a really great sort of handbook thing. You could do it. There's some people will write a book, and then I would encourage them then to write a workbook that is a companion piece, because the book says the theory, but I need to put it into practice. So you need to look at that. You need to look at, what is your target market prepared to pay? Some of the places I was speaking at, it was not uncommon to have people spend $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on a package from stage. So, I put some CD packs and stuff together, and I sold a package for, I think it was like $1,200. And, I think I sold 8 of them one day, and I was stoked for that because, I wasn't getting paid. So it was about selling as much as I could. You need to look at how much stock are you going to carry. I'm not a big believer in carrying a huge amount of stock because it costs money. I want to have sold the stuff before I even print it, or I want to have money coming in that's going to cover it. So I don't get a lot of CDs or books or stuff printed at once. I just have a smaller amount, and I'll pay a higher price for it, but I'm okay with that because I don't want to carry the stock. I don't want to have a garage full of stuff, as many speakers do. So So yeah, you need to look at that. So I'm going to jump back onto my PowerPoint slides because it's. I want to talk to you about a really important part, which is the looking at your return on investment. You need to. It is something important that's worth considering. So let me do this. Slideshow. Play from here. Great. So in terms of looking at it, just so you know, the cost per unit for a CD is remind me to talk about whether or not I should sell a USB key with product on it. I want to talk about that. So just remind me if I don't talk about it. So the cost unit for the CDs, as I said, is somewhere between $0 to $3. I can sell it for about $40. So my margin is 1,333%. By the way, just give me a big yes if you think that's a healthy margin.
Yay!
Excellent. Good. Thank you very much. Just testing you're still listening. For the big pack, the cost unit is about $50 and I'd sell it for about $589. That's a lower margin. The money was better, good money, harder to sell. I've got to tell you, it is a lot harder to sell a higher priced item, but that was pretty good. And then there's the book. Now, my book cost me $6 per unit to print, and I sell it for I actually don't sell it for $35. I sell it for a little bit less. It's priced at $34.95, but typically it's back of the room for $25. If I sell it and have to post it, I always pay postage, and it actually costs me about $8 to post. So it costs me more money to post it than it does to print it. So it's important to do the numbers. I'm an accountant. Like, I studied accountancy at university, so and my apologies for that. But it's really important to do the numbers and and understand where's the return. A lot of people, when they want to do a book, and they'll pay a shocking amount of money to design the book, do the layout, et cetera, and they don't sell it for enough, and they don't realize that they're not making enough money on each book to pay for itself. I knew in my first print, because I got 200 books printed, the first print run, and I knew that the cost of my editor, my internal layout, my designer, my VA who helped create it, and all this other costs, when I incorporated into that 200 plus the actual print cost, I knew it was going to cost me $25 a book for the first lot of books. So I knew that I had to price it at $35, otherwise I'll be making a loss on the very first round of the books. And then after that, I know that for every book, it's only costing me $6. So you've got to do the numbers. It's really important that you do the numbers. But when it comes to what's easy, e-courses are just the easiest. Online MP3s, videos, so easy. Like, I've got studio lights in here at the moment. I've got my green screen, which is now on a curtain roller. So soon I can just roll it down at the back behind me, and Zoom allows you to do green screen, so you can do some stuff behind you. I use a Mac, and so I can use GarageBand to churn out, and I do this for clients. I do little videos for them, and I charge them money for it. And I also bundle it in. So as an MC, I'll go, oh, yes, I can do a promotional video for you to get everyone excited. I can do a summary video afterwards to make it last and get better. And they love that stuff. So it's very, very easy to create products. So let's talk about how you create a product. First of all, give me a big yes in the room? Who wants to write a book? No one. All right, you do. Okay, great. Okay, cool. So let me talk about the book, and let me explain to you how I did my book, and I'll give you a few resources on how to get a book. The first question you have to understand is, why do you want a book? And it really is a credibility. It does give good credibility, but you have to be careful. A lot of people write their book too early, and they haven't really locked down, what is my topic? What is it that I want to be known for? Because I don't know about you, but it took me about 12 years to work out what my topic was. So that's why, I didn't write my first book until well into my speaking career. Everyone's going, oh, you should have a book. Meanwhile, I created CDs and just sold stuff I had. So you don't have to have one, but it is a good credibility. So if you have, Liana's known for mindfulness, so it would make sense for her to have some great resources around that, and some of the subcategories that come off that, and have specialty books that go with particular elements of that mindfulness, be it meditation, be it other elements of that. So in terms of the books, this is those multi-author books I was talking about. Mine was called Agents of Action, and it was rubbish. And I've got two boxes of them in my garage, but I'm so embarrassed of it that I actually don't even give it away anymore. I'll probably take it up the shed and use it to line the walls or something, because the other contributing authors, they weren't very good, and it was not. Yeah, it didn't position me very well at all. So, I would advise against a multi-author book if it's one of those 10 to 15 authors. Don't get me wrong, I can technically say I'm a best-selling author because that book, there was 11 authors. We all got 500 copies, so that's 5,500 copies in Australia that we all bought. So therefore, we have technically sold them. So that means that in Australia, if you sell 5,000 copies of a book, you're a best-selling author. So I could say that I'm a best-selling author, but I don't, because it really is a shit book, for want of a more technical term. The question that people ask sometimes is, should I get published by somebody else or should I self-publish? You'll see here, this is my pile of self-published books, and my office assistant looking on. He helps me. Now, if you get published, frequently it's hard to get a published deal. It is a challenge to get there, and it takes time. Like, if you talk to the likes of Michael McQueen, Jason Fox, some of the big boys, Rowdy McLean's just published a new book, and I think that's done with the publisher, and he's got bloody billboards and posters all over the place. And it takes a long time to get them to A, commit to the book, and then B, get it done. Also, it means that you have no control over the book, because it's basically, you are the author, it's their product. So it just really does depend on your strategy. But just in terms of numbers, because let's be honest, I'm a numbers kind of guy. I like to look at how much money am I going to make from this. If you're a published author, you get $2 for every book that you sell. So you're going to have to sell 5,000 books to make 10 grand. Now, for most of my books, I'm going to make $20 profit. So I only have to sell 500 books to make the same amount of profit. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Good. See, who thought there was going to be a maths test tonight? That's all part of the fun. So the reality is that a self-published book, you have more control. You can sell from back of the room without having to buy. I know some people, one of my friends, they've published a book and they've got to buy them from the publisher at $15 a unit so that they can then sell them back a room for $20. And it's just like, man, there's a lot of books you've got to sell for that. So, and I know some people, like Max Walker originally was published and then he bought his rights back and went in-house and self-published. Other people have done that as well. Some have done it the other way. They've done self-published to try and get published, which you can do. I had a distributor. They were useless. So, there are different ways to do it. All right. And don't forget, I will take questions at any point in time. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Some people ask, what's the difference between an ebook and a real book? Ebooks, again, you got to look at what's the purpose. For me, my book, I don't sell as an ebook, and I know some people have written a book and they'll give it away as an ebook. I don't, because my book has been specifically designed not to be read. By that, I mean, you don't start at the beginning and finish at the end. It's a flicker. It's a very easy book to read. You just flick through, get some ideas. There's little work areas to fill stuff out. You'll flick into it, get an idea, put it back on the shelf and get on with your day. So as an ebook, that wouldn't work for me. But it's completely up to you. Again, it's going back to the strategy. So, hey, did you want to know how to write your own book?
Yeah.
I think there's 3 people in the room who are like, yes, I have to say yes. He's asking me a question. Yes. And there's others who are very excited. And that's okay. But here are all the steps on how to write a book. And to make life easier for you, I've actually turned this into an ebook. So just ignore what's on the screen. I'll give you some resources in the end. It's a 12-page ebook on how to write a book. So for my book, I already talked about this one, and I'd stay away from it. But the agents that you get more inspiration. Hang on, let me stop sharing the screen again and do this and do that. and go, here, hey, back to me again. All right, so this book here, as I said, it's designed not to be read. So you'll see that there's a bit of a page and there's a grayish box, which is a workout. So each page, maybe sometimes two, sometimes at the most three, has a little vignette or a little story. Now, I knew I wanted to write a book, but I also knew that I couldn't be asked. I really didn't. I knew I wouldn't sit down and go, oh, typey, here we go. I'd get sidetracked. I'd go and have a coffee, and I just knew I wouldn't get it done. So I didn't do it. But what I did do is every Monday, and I don't know if people there receive it, I write a little inspirational newsletter to get more goer. So every Monday, it's a burst of inspiration that goes out. It's just whatever's happening in my life at the time with a bit of a twist of observation on it. And I've been doing that for, I don't know, 8 years or something. And so I said to my VA, hey, do you want to go through and just pick the top 200? And she picked 220, and we'll put them into a book. And so that's what we did. So my VA got it together and put it into a book. Editing a book is really important to me. I did not want people going, oh, you've spelled that wrong, and there's a full stop in the wrong spot. And that's not right. So I got my an overseas VA to sort of put it all together. But I have an Australian editor who used to be an editor for Melbourne University, and she's brilliant. If you need an editor, I'd highly recommend her. And she would come back to me going, oh, you've put 2 spaces here. You only need 1 space. And I'm like, who looks at that stuff? But she obviously does. So she did an amazing job on that book. And I've had this book now for a couple of years, and no one has come back saying, oh, there's a spelling mistake. Oh, there's an issue. So either I haven't made them or they haven't read it. But either way, they haven't come back to me. So that's how I wrote the book, by actually not writing the book. Now, I reviewed it and made sure it was okay. But again, this book was a strategy. I wanted this book to look like a published book. And so I went, a couple of the members of PSA, like Matt Church, Jason Fox, the people who are published, I got copies of their books and I said, Rotto, what is it about their book that I want? I wanted the paper to be right. This is what's called an off-white paper. Sometimes people have a self-published book, and you pick up the book, you look at it and you go, that's self-published. I didn't want that because it was a distraction. It's like, I'm happy for people to self-publish. That's fantastic. But I didn't want it to just detract from the value of the book. So I know that this is an off-white paper. The font is what's called a serif font because it's on reading on paper. You always have a serif font. It's what all the proper books do. Harry Potter has it. If Harry Potter does it, that's what you do. It has the barcode on the back. It has the publisher logo on the spine. It has a solid spine, so from a distance you can read it. It has all the blurb on the inside cover, including the ISBN for the ebook and the other stuff. It's been registered in the state library as well as the national library. Copies have been sent there. So it's been done like a real book. I knew I wanted it a certain weight. So when I drop it on the table, it makes a good sound. I want people to hold the book in their hand and go, shit, that is a serious book from a serious speaker who's serious about inspiration. And so that was the whole, again, it's like I had a vision for what I wanted, and that's what I did. So if you are looking at creating a product, have a vision of what you want it to be like to make sure that you're creating that so that it is worthy of your name, and your clients will say, that is fantastic. I've had clients go, can I give it copies to my friends? I had a meeting. I was in Perth yesterday, as many of you know. I had a meeting with my client there, and I took a couple of copies of the book along, and they brought a few extra people into the meeting, and I said, I'm sorry, I've only got 2 copies of this. And one of the guys I'd given a copy to before said, oh, no worries, I already shared the book with them because it's so good and I wanted them to see it. And they're like, that's an awesome compliment to get, So that's something that I would suggest that you do. So as I said, at the very end, I will give you access to a website which has that ebook on how to write a book. Also has links to who it is that does the best printing of books, in my opinion, and it's Griffin Press. I believe if they don't have a printer in Adelaide, they will ship to it, and it's relatively affordable. So if you have questions about writing a book, now is the time. Ask me questions about writing the book now because I'm about to get into how to make CDs. Any questions? I'm hanging on.
Yeah.
Yeah, good question. How many pages or words? I got to tell you, I didn't count because I knew I wanted to have a certain weight. Now, this is 200 and 272 pages. But I got to tell you, the last couple don't really have a great deal in them. That's because you have to print in a factor of 16, right? So there were some blank pages, which I've just put, stuff down the bottom and, for notes. In retrospect, mine's probably a little bit too big because it almost kicks over to the next level of postage, and postage is not cheap in this country. But I would suggest to you, like 170 pages, 150 pages, you're looking at a decent sized book. I don't know what that is in words. But again, it just depends. Like, many of you will know who Louise Hay is. Louise Hay wrote a book. I can't remember the name of it, but it's the Louise Hay book. And she did a different release of it, which was all sort of colourful pages and words and quotes. And there wasn't a great deal of content in there, but it's a very popular book. So you might have something where it's written on one page, but then the next page has a quote. So, there are some who might call that padding out, but seriously, what you're doing is looking at what's the best way to get across my content. So, I could have made this book smaller by getting rid of all these grey boxes, but I wanted this to be something that they wrote in. I wanted it to be something that they'd hang on to because they've written in it and they've got notes in it and they want to do stuff. So, so that's, I don't know the magic answer, but I would say at least 150 pages.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Any other questions?
Hang on.
No, I'm hearing voices, but that's not uncommon for me. Okay, so the comment that's come through, digital age, top box links, changed value of CDs. Okay. This is a good time to remind me to talk about Dropbox links. Yes, thank you very much. To talk about putting stuff on a USB key. Okay, so how much does this USB key, how much is that worth? How much would you pay for a USB key? Now, most people are used to going to Officeworks. Now, most of us don't pay for them. We'll go to a trade show and get a free one. But if you go to Officeworks, you'll probably pay $8, maybe a bit more if you're getting a fast one or a big one. The perceived value is not great. Whereas the perceived value of this is far more significant. And yes, we're in the digital age. There's no doubt about that. So frequently what I'll do is, and I don't sell my stuff on a USB key. I just choose not to. You could package it up and you could create that value around it, but it is a little bit harder to sell going up the front going, oh, I've got 14 hours of great information on here and it's worth $300. And they'll be like, no, it's $8. I know I've paid $8. So it is easier to sort of, a CD packet looks like it's worth more. Now, some people will say to me, but I don't have a CD player. And they'll go, do you use a car? And I go, yes, I do. And in fact, I have one in that. What I will say to people who buy those, I'll say, look, feel free to rip this into your iPhone and share it with your friends. Because as far as I'm concerned, I want more people to know about me because part of the strategy is money. And part of the strategy is I want people to hear about me. So they say, oh, I want you to be my coach so I can be a better speaker, or I want you to be my trainer so I can be more mindful, or I want you to come and speak in my program. So it is, I want them to spread that. So I'm happy for them to share my product. Dropbox links, it's not super professional, like to sell a product and go, here, give me some money and here's a link to Dropbox. So it's about perceptions. It's about managing those perceptions. It can be a lot easier to put it on something like Bandcamp. Yeah, you'll pay a commission, but it's what the professional musos do. So why wouldn't you do something similar to that? You can go digital, and I have in some circumstances. What I'll do is I'll set up a page on my website, and once they pay me, they get sent a special link and a password. So it feels, again, they don't need the password because it's a hidden page from Google, but it's the theater. It's the show of like, oh, this is important and expensive. And so don't share the password with anyone, but here's your special password to get your 14 hours of Warwick Merry to help you go to sleep at night, whatever it is. So hopefully that answers. The value of CDs, like, it hasn't changed a great deal. You're still $20, $25 you'd pay, but for business stuff, you'll pay 30, and people will sell it for 30. I mean, like 47, people will sign up for $47 a month, downloady kind of stuff. So it's the same kind of stuff. So I hope that clears things up. I'm going to move on because there's still more to cover. And I want to now go back to audio products. I'm going to go back to PowerPoint again, and we'll get back into that. Audio products are my favorite because they are so CDs. So there's the easiest way to do CDs is when you're next presenting and they've got a microphone, a lapel mic, and you're hooked into the big sound system, just present your digital recorder and to the AV person and say, hey, can I record a copy of this off the desk? And they'll say, yeah, no worries. And that's how I've got most of my products. So I'm basically getting a product from work I'm already doing. The audio quality is going to be fantastic because they're monitoring the desk and making sure it's good, and it's fabulous. You can record it at home. Now, this is a picture of someone who's got a bit of a studio set up. I got to tell you, Zoom is awesome. You can just record straight into Zoom. You don't have to have a conversation with anyone. You can use the Zoom free version and get 20 minutes and do two 20-minute sessions, and there's 40 minutes, which is enough for a CD. You can interview someone Skype. You can interview and record Skype. I mean, all my podcasting I do using Zoom, so you can do it. The technology is so easy. And then editing, Audacity is a free and available. My favorite editor is Adobe Audition. I love that. But it's not cheap, but it's fabulous. Camtasia is also good. You can edit audio and video in that. ScreenFlow will do your video as well. Oh, there's a really cool thing called the Levelator. And that's sometimes if you're doing an interview, and this happens to me a lot because I speak quite loudly, is my levels are really high and I'm speaking really loud and the person I'm interviewing is quite soft. And so what you can do at the end of your recording, just drop it into this software called the Levelator, and it is drop it in. You basically drag and drop your file into it. It processes it and spits it out at the other end, and it's adjusted all the levels so that they're equal. It is a fabulous little bit of software. So that's a cool thing. But, if you've got an Apple, you get all the software comes with it. GarageBand and iMovie, you can do anything in that. And again, if you're doing a video interview with someone, a lot of my podcast episodes I've done on video, because what I can do then is I'll have the video that I upload to YouTube or Vimeo or something. I have the audio that I can then create something with, and I can get that transcribed so I've got written. So I've now got 3 different formats from the one interview that I can then use. So it's really easy to record and edit. And by the way, the phones now are so good, and you can get some great little microphones that plug straight into the phone. As I said, a little lapel mic you can plug straight in, drop your phone in your pocket, hit record, and bang, you've created your product at your presentation. So if you're presenting and you've only got, say, 30 people in the room, so you don't have a big audio system, you can get these little microphones for $50, $60 and then stick them in. It can work really, really well. PSA have just signed up as an affiliate program for, I think it's Mic 2 or something, which is a little Bluetooth mic with a big range. So you put the mic on your lapel, and so we're just getting that coming up on the website. It's PSA UK member has invented it and created it. I think it's about $100 or something. I know Taryn Dean's got one and she loves it. I'm waiting to see, maybe it's pretty large. I want a smaller one. So, but there's some great technology out there that's quite affordable. But my thing is, you've probably already got the technology you need for your first product. You really do. Even if it's as simple as saying to someone, hey, let's have a Zoom call and interview each other and turn it into a product that we can both use. Or I'll interview you for an hour, and then you interview me. And here are the key points I want to get across. Bang, there's your product. And whether or not that becomes your strategic giveaway, which is the second step in getting them signing up to something, or, sign up to my newsletter and get the free it's what you can do. But you want to make it easy listening. So the first step is you want the introduction. So it becomes, you're about to, my podcast has the nice sort of sound at the start. I got my wife to do the voiceover. I coached her to make sure that she does it. It's nice to have an opposite male, female. It's a nice different energy. So she does you're listening to the Get More Success show and, blah, blah, blah. And I have a bit of a musical sting and I like a high energetic. And then we go straight into the podcast. Sometimes if I'm doing a special release, it'll just start with me going, hey, we got a special release. We got got the chance to have a chat with da-da-da-da. So let's get on with the show, and then bang into the normal one. But it is, you need some kind of introduction so that your audience is knowing what to expect. If you're doing CDs, you've got to put tracks in. It is so annoying to have a 40-minute CD that you'll get 3 minutes into, stop the car, get petrol, come back in, and it starts again from the beginning. So the software programs can do it. Just Google how to do it for whatever software program you're using. And I would just put every 5 minutes, put a track in, so that if it's on a CD, you might have 10 tracks, so I can just go, oh, yeah, I'm up to track 4. And then naturally at the end, you want a goodbye. And it becomes that whole, hey, you've been listening to Warwick Merry. For further information, head to warwickisalegend.com or something like that. It's really quite simple. Packaging, this screen grab here is straight off the printer that I use. And there's a couple of different ways of printing. Do not print them at home yourself. They look like crap, and they look like a home job. And the thermal printed and printed on the disc is cheap. It is so cheap, and it looks fantastic. Like, it looks like a bought one. Like, it looks real, because it is. It's what they do. And you can see the different cases. You get in a CD case or whatever if you choose to go in a CD path. And they've got all the templates there, so you can get a template and then go to Upwork and get someone for $5, or your own graphic designer, or do it in Canva or whatever. But seriously, Upwork, for $5 or $10, someone will design it. So as I said, don't print it yourself. Don't have the label printed. Do the thermal printed. It makes such a big difference. Now, I use a company called Extreme TC to do my printing, and I found them by going through Beat Magazine. Beat Magazine, for those of you who don't know, is a music magazine, the latest and greatest, and there's all these ads at the back for CDs. I rang around, and that's what I found. So in your city, there may well be some kind of thing. If you've got some other PSA buddies who have CDs, ask them, who do you use? Where do you get yours done? It's really quite simple. Again, on the product reference page, I've got this website for Extreme, and they can quote on the page. They don't even have to speak to anyone. You jump on, put in what you want, give you a quote, and including delivery. It's really quite affordable. What about DVDs? Again, DVDs can be really quite good. Nowadays, though, it's very easy to just use Vimeo or YouTube, and you can just sell online. And because you can, if you're doing a DVD, you really need to make sure that it's that 40 minutes is sort of a sweet spot. But for Vimeo and YouTube, you can do lots of shorter ones, and I would do shorter ones. My podcasts are only half an hour because people don't concentrate for longer than that. And so Vimeo and YouTube are really great for doing these nice little short grabs. And so I've done some of that kind of stuff. But again, at the end of the day, what's the strategy? Are you doing this to give it away? So I do a podcast for free, and I do good quality podcast because I have people, I want them to go, that's really good. Imagine how good his paid stuff are. I also have product because sometimes when I'm offering, I want to be able to bundle stuff. So if people say, oh, can you come and speak at this conference? Say, look, my fee is, let's say, $4,000. And what I'll do is I'll give everyone a copy of this MP3 and this CD and a couple of books to give away. And if they say, oh, no, our budget's really only $3,000, I can say, not a problem. I'll happily do it for $3,000, but you don't get the CDs and stuff. Rather than just going, oh, it's $4,000, you haven't got the money, I'll do it for $3,000. I've dropped 25% of my price for nothing. Whereas having some product like this, it just gives me that bargaining point where I can drop the price, but they don't get as much. And sometimes they'll say, oh, but we really want that stuff. Then the price is $4,000. So it's a good thing. Joint ventures work really, really well. As I said, the PSA, that multi-disc pack that I did to get more business success, I love it. Like, it has got some fantastic stuff in it, purely because the caliber of the guest I had. And I did have one guest who didn't make the cut. She talked about finances and she was not appropriate. And after we did the recording, I said, look, this is, I was listening to it and I had to call her and say, it's just not up to standard. She's like, I've been thinking about it. I actually don't want to do it. And I'm like, great. So, So you got to look at what's your strategy, and that plays in also to e-courses. Do e-courses fit into your strategy? By the way, a few people have been talking about Udemy, and Udemy I don't like the idea of, because their courses are only like $30, and I like charging things in hundreds and thousands of dollars, and so there are some things out there, services out there. As I said, some of my e-courses, it's purely an email responder that every week says, hey, click on this link and use this password, so that it just, again, is this theater of, oh, this is special. So that's one of the things that I would do. But e-courses, again, are really easy to set up. You're just going to do an audio, video, or written, and somehow put it onto your email autoresponder, and away you go. You don't need special software. MailChimp can do it. It's that simple. You can get more sophisticated, and PSA has a sponsorship arrangement with Knowledge Link that do some good stuff. Thinkific does some really good stuff as well. Our Vault is Knowledge Link. So there are opportunities out there, and they're really quite cost effective as well. But again, start simple, use the technology and stuff you've already got. You don't need to spend money. And because I'm relatively lazy, I'm into recycling. This is a photo that Sam got of me while I was working hard one day. But while I'm working hard, my newsletters are going out, my product's being sold. I'm getting people listening to my podcast. I'm using it. So, and people often ask me, when's the best time to sell the product? I always sell it before I make it. And in fact, I have sold some product that I haven't made, and I couldn't sell the product, so I didn't make the product. It's just like, if people don't want to buy it, don't make it. Just make what people will buy. So it can be a great way to test the marketplace. If you're thinking about, I really want to do something, but I'm just not sure whether people are going to want it or not, well, sell it. And if people don't buy it, don't make it. And, change it. It's a really good way to test the market. If you're going to sell a book, though, you've got to make sure you don't want to sell it too soon. There's someone I know who sold their book, but it took them a year and a half to make it, and it pissed a few people off. So keep that in mind. Another thing you can do with product is white label it. This was, I was trying to sell my Get More Business Success CD pack to Mortgage Choice. And so I just grabbed their logo off the internet and just mocked up a cover, printed it out and put it in the front, so that when I went and had a meeting with them, they would see it. They wouldn't have to imagine what's this going to look like. They could see it. I wasn't successful in that, but other people have been very successful. With your book, nowadays with book printing, it's very easy to say to a company, I can do a special edition for you with your logo on the front and a letter from your CEO on the very first page, and some extra reference material in the back if you'd like. But there will be a minimum order of, let's say, 400 books, because it might cost you an extra $100 to set up for printing, but the printing cost is going to be the same. And if you're getting a guaranteed $400 order at maybe a discounted price of $15 or $20, yeah, I'm going to spend a bit of time to make that work. So, yeah, that's just something that you can consider. How am I going for time, guys?
Yeah, another 10 minutes.
Excellent. All right. So I've only got another 70 slides to go. No, it's okay. So the equipment, I think I've talked about the equipment. So it's, where do I get help? This is the website that you want to take a photo of this bit, warwickmerry.com/product-resources. That's where there's the ebook on how to write a book. There's links to a lot of the audio software that I talked about. There's a whole lot of resources there. So check that out. Ask around others in your local chapter. Who's made books before? Who's doing eco? Who's doing, one of the most popular resources that seems to have some good answers is Google. Don't be afraid to use Google if you're looking for people who can print CDs. And also me, if I can help you at all, please let me know. I'm happy to assist in any shape, manner, or form. So the question becomes, what's your next product? What are you going to do? We're about to head into a quiet period for most speakers over the December-January period. I know for me, my podcast, I do the majority of my podcasts in January and February. I organize a whole lot of different people. I didn't want to create a rod for my back and have a weekly podcast, so I do mine every 2 weeks. I have a bit of a break over that Christmas-January period, so I don't release any. but I just I give my admin assistant a list of the names and phone numbers and email addresses of people I want to talk to, and she just organises some back-to-back sessions. I only do about half an hour, so we have an hour appointment, and I give them, and I've got a standard sheet which says this is what we're talking about. The very first question will be, how do you define success? Because it's the Get More Success show, so we want to talk about that, and then we just go from there. And people are quite happy to do it, and so I get these 10 or 15 interviews done up front, and then throughout the year I bump into people that I'll then add to that. And sometimes I'll do a special release. Sometimes I go on radio. I've got a couple of friends who run radio shows, and they give me a copy of their podcast, and so the recording, which I then turn into a podcast or a product. So that's what I have done. So for yourself, it would be quite easy to, at the very least, create a CD product that you can give away, like very easily. And I know one of mine is how to have more fun at work. Is a giveaway that I use, and I've also have it as a blog post with the link to the MP3. So these are very, very easy to do. So I would strongly encourage you to look at what is the product that you're going to create, because as I said at the very beginning, when you're defining success, it's all about action. Action's the magic word, not words are the magic action. So my commitment is to try and help you get there. For those of you who are not members yet, I will love to help you get to member. We've got a whole lot of resources on our vault on how to do that. But, seriously, this is the website, warwickmerry.com/product resources. You can also sign up to my Get More Go. If you go to warwickmerry.com, I have my little burst of inspiration newsletter. I like it, but, then again, I'm writing it. But it is a really cool little newsletter with a quirky observation on life. You can read in your preview pane and then hit delete. But I would encourage you to sign up just to see what's possible, and you might delete after a while. I use, with our Shutterstock deal, I use some of the Shutterstock images. This week I took a photo out of the plane on the way to Perth and used that image. So it's a nice example of what's possible. So I would encourage you to check that out. So I'm going to go back to me now. So that's pretty much all I wanted to share with you. I'm really happy to take any questions. As I said, I'm going to work with Gary and Liana to come over in January and do maybe a half-day sessions. If I can do a quick fly in and fly out and talk with people and then and help you get ready for a fantastic 2018, I'd love to be able to do that. So, if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to take them. If you've got any ideas, I'm happy to talk about stuff. Let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Warwick. That was very practical, and you made it even look easy that we could actually create a product.
And it is. Can I tell you? I've recorded this recording now, so I could then go back and put a little intro and a little outro, and then pop it up on in the vault. That's how easy it is to do. You can do these kind of calls, and people don't mind that there's a great big microphone here, or my little bacon sign in the background, or even my little Lego motorbike over there. They don't mind, and it just adds a little bit of character. This could quite easily be a video product you could use.
Thank you, Warwick. It's also been a really good, because of the circumstances of this, it's been a really good insight into how to use Zoom and how to deal with some of the problems that speakers face.
Yeah. We're very fortunate in Australia in that we don't have that many cancellations or that many airports, but unfortunately today was the day, and so I'm pleased that we're able to work around that. So thank you everyone for your flexibility and patience on that. Thank you for your attention and for laughing at my jokes, and I really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you all in January. I trust you've enjoyed this Professional Speakers Australia presentation and seen just how easy it is to create profitable products for yourself. I hope you have a great 2018, and I look forward to seeing you on the stage somewhere. For further information about professional speakers, please head to professionalspeakers.org.au. Thanks for joining us.